Hello guys, welcome or welcome back. I hope you had a great time during these holidays and that you have a fresh new start in this new year. For today's topic, I'm gonna talk about some of the eyeshadow palettes that I've tried during 2022 that I think that for the most part were just waste of my money. And I'm saying this just in case if you were thinking about purchasing certain products that I'm gonna talk about, maybe through some of the experience that I'm going to share, you would rather wanted to skip and save your money and maybe invest into something else. Now, first palette that I'm going to mention, before I say anything, I'm gonna say that certain products within this palette are absolutely stunning. Then why would you would say, why would you even mention that? Because half of this palette, because of different formulation, maybe overall it won't be for you. Before anything, I would say this is advanced palette that overall that I have right here is the most expensive out of them all. This one was I think $125. One thing that I liked in here was this super easy soft multi-chromes, but everything else for me was, I would say, a miss. I have full breakdown first impressions on this palette. I managed to make it work, but at the end of the day, do I think this is worth that money? I understand because of different formulation and everything, it has to be bigger price. But again, I'm using just half of this palette. Something that I found really hard to work with were these two water activated shades. So actually, if you would try to do something with them, you will not have anything. You have to put the water in to make them active. But one thing is they are smudge proof, but they're not water resistant. If the water activates them, the water will break them. Again, so that's why I didn't use them in my water lamp, especially when I'm using contact lenses, that will be a mess. So that's one thing that I was avoiding. Unfortunately, I did like the shade. First, thinking they were too close, but to the shade range, but they are different, not that much, but they are different. This shade Divinity and Angels, they do have different texture. For me, these are just too powdery. I feel like they, no matter what I do, they just kind of sit on top. They don't, I don't know if the word dissolve is the perfect word I would use, but I don't know if you can catch on a camera. But it's just like little sparkles that they find them as a topper. I wasn't a big fan of them at all. And then we have these two chrome flakes. You guys, these are so harsh. You have to kind of warm them up. I did like the idea of the color story, but you do need some time to make them work. They're kind of messy, go all the way, see? So just so you know, this is the texture. Just in case you want to see full in-depth video, I will link that video down so you can check it, and I will talk more about why I do love this palette. It's like half and half, like either I'm not using some shades or I'm in love with different shades that are in here. They're so beautiful and easy to work with. I wish she has just palette with these multi-chromes. That would be amazing, would be much cheaper, and yeah, will be easier. Even if you're a beginner, it just gives you beautiful finish. And like I said, I will talk about that in my next video. Next one would be Hindash Monochromance palette. Again, at the end of the day, this is not a palette I'm reaching that much for. The only good thing is that you have from one shade you have a shade range. That's why it's called monochromance, and you can apply same shade, having the transition from the lightest to the darkest. You can have, I would say, 3 to 4 shades from certain shade. Opacity is not that strong. They're in my opinion quite light, I would say. This palette is a mess. Like this material, this is terrible. No matter how hard I try to clean it, the material, it changed the color, its original color, and then it's mess all the way, unfortunately. Unless you just store it and just be really careful if you're a makeup artist, this is not something you would like to have. The best palettes I would say are, for example, Natasha Denona's or Makeup and Mario materials, for example. It's easy to clean. Even though it's white, it's way easier than no matter which color this material is, because it's really hard to clean. So I really do appreciate when the packaging as well is easy to clean and maintain. I really thought I'm gonna enjoy more this palette than I did. I use it here and there. Like I said, you know why I use this palette for my blushes. These two shades. That's for the most part that I am using this palette, and it wasn't that cheap. I'm not sure how much it was priced, but it definitely wasn't cheap. Again, I wouldn't say I had a bad experience with it. It's just that I'm not getting that much use out of it, and I really don't like this packaging. I will start by saying that in general I do love Huda's Obsession palette, size-wise, color story, quality, but this color block that I have, she came out with 2 different shades. This is the one that I got. I thought the outside packaging is really cool, but I thought this cake liner was good. I'm not reaching for this palette, I would say, at all. I was expecting much more from this shade. It was kind of hard to combine these colors. I would love if we have a lighter version of this shade. Not this one though, I love this one. I think it's a unique color, this lavender color, but the color story is not something I was excited about. And I didn't find really useful this one right here, shade that is half and half in such a small pan. I really think that is actually something that is inconvenient. You do need a really small brush for this. You have to be really precise, unless, I don't know, you wanted to mix it, and yeah, it doesn't work. Overall, I didn't think the color story in this one, kind of was expecting more, especially when it comes to color story from this palette. Considering her other Obsessions palette, this one was disappointing for me in a performance and in a color story, unfortunately. This may be shocking to you, but I had high hopes for this palette. When I saw it online, color story and everything, I was like, this is good. This has to be good. Ended up being the biggest disappointing palette for me that I tried last year, and that is, again, unfortunately, Empowered palette. And here's why. I'm gonna start by saying that this palette looks stunning. It looks beautiful. I like the idea of we are having different undertones on this side than on this side. For the most part, I used this undertone. I wasn't the biggest fan of the packaging. Who cares? Like, it's easy to maintain. I don't care that much about print. What I do care about is the performance of the product, is the color story, the quality. So we have different textures in here, which I think at the end of the day, it wasn't that necessary. Or if we are going to put different textures, then I would like for them to work together to make a whole package, if that makes sense. So for example, we are having these 2 creams, Purpose and Worthy. Before anything, they are sheer, which it's not a problem. You can use them. I wouldn't use them as an eyeliner because they're not water resistant and they're not smudge proof. So one swipe and there you go. I would use this as a eyeshadow base. That's awesome. It's easy to work with, it's blendable, amazing. But the problem is that the eyeshadow on top of it, it's not working, in a sense that this base, unfortunately, first of all, it's not working underneath the eyeshadow. Eyeshadow should have just grabbed that liquid, and no matter what type of eyeshadow we put on, it should be much more colorful. For example, one of my latest videos, I did a smoky eye, and unfortunately, I put the black, this Purpose shade, and I put like eyeshadow on top, which was keep on just cracking. It wouldn't give me the color that I want, that I know I can get and that I see in a pan. And unfortunately, this ruined the whole look for me. The only way it can work if you just put it a little bit, for example, just to make your out edge a little bit darker. The other thing that is problem with this, these are not sealed, these 2. And that's the reason why they get dry. This is not enough. We have a problem. We have chunky glitters in here. See this? When this goes around your pan, it goes into your black what is supposed to be for example, black matte eyeliner, and you have chunks in it. That's terrible. As you can see in my, for example, Worthy, it just goes inside and grabs onto the product, and that's not what I want. For example, if I'm gonna use just matte look, then I don't want any chunky glitters in my product. It's just a mess. And I know we do have to clean, maintain. We should, as much as we can, take care of our makeup, disinfect and everything, but this is just a mess when it comes to being unprotected, unfortunately. So this was a big disappointment. I was really confused about this gel hybrid manifested color. Didn't do anything for me. So it looks cool once it's in a pan, but once you try it, it looks like this. It's muddy, and it looks really dry. I didn't like the shade. Honestly, I don't even know what I would do with this. One of the things that can be good if you are, for example, cooler, deeper skin tone, maybe you would like to have this undertone range on this side, and that's a good thing that she was thinking about warmer and cooler undertones. But for me, this is just, if you are my skin tone and you don't like that orange undertone, then you want to skip this, because you can see how orange this is even more on a eyelids. At the end of the day, the only shades that I actually, for the most part, use a couple of times is shades Winner and Big Dreams. These are the shades that I loved because I thought they are kind of unique and really like the undertone. Overall, I don't think this was worth my money. At the end of the day, this was a big disappointing moment for me, because I really expected much more from this palette. So this is something that has been my experience, and this says these are my thoughts now after testing and trying these palettes that I've shown you, that I talked about. So if you're considering buying this, you may want to reconsider certain facts. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know your experience when it comes to these palettes or something else that you tried. Before you leave, make sure to watch this video where I discuss some of the palettes that I really liked for the 2022. And I will see you in my next one soon. Thank you. Bye.